One of the wonderful and challenging things about this course is that it is writing intensive. So this video is going to be about writing, and my goal with creating it is to prepare you for your three main writing assignments and hopefully give you some tools and tips that will make you better writers. So first, I'm going to invite us to reflect on why we write, and then I'll walk us through three main points that I want to unpack for us. And those points are that writing is a process, and I'll use a metaphor to unpack that. And then my second idea that I want to share with you today is that organization is your best friend. And thirdly and finally, that you are your own best editor. So first, before we dive into that, I want you to think about, why do we write? Why do you write? Well, as I think about that for myself and in general, we write to, first of all, to express ourselves. Some people journal. And the act of writing, even if we don't share it with anybody else, it causes us to think differently. So when the technology of writing was first created by human beings, think about that. Think about what happened in that previous to that, everything was happening in the moment and then would go away. It was sound, right? But with the advent of physically writing something down and being able to look at it again, whether it be on a cave wall or a piece of paper or on a computer that hopefully doesn't crash, it allows us to take something outside of ourselves, an idea, a belief, a description of something that happened, and then we can look at it and we can reflect on it. And that reflection causes us to learn and to grow. So that's why we have so many writing assignments in academia, right? Now also, we don't just write many times to express ourselves, although that is definitely part of the joy of writing. We write to communicate. So I want you to think about, who are you going to be communicating with for these three writing assignments? You always have the audience of yourself, right? But in this situation, you're writing to share what you're thinking about and what you've been learning with Dr. Maxwell and the TAs for this course. So I want you to think about, what is your purpose? What is your purpose for this class? So one of the purposes is to demonstrate, right, to your instructor and the TAs that you have not only done the work, but that you understand it and are applying these ideas, and that you're wrestling with the concepts, and that you're considering how these skills might be applied. Okay, that's what we're looking for. Some of what we're looking for. So now with that as our big picture, let's go through three things that I think have helped me be a better writer, and I'm offering them to you as well. So the first one is to think about writing as a process, not just a product that you can hit a button and it comes out. In my undergrad, I came up with the metaphor to think of writing as steeping tea, right? You got to boil the water. That might be daydreaming, free writing. When I was writing my thesis for my master's degree, I literally bought a little tape recorder, voice recorder thing back in the day, and I would go for walks just talking out loud to get my ideas out. Do whatever you need to do to not just hit writer's block, but just get some of your ideas out, right? Then you got to let it steep. You have to let the tea steep, and that takes time. So, plan ahead, give yourself time to write. And then finally, creation is ongoing, right? And writing is a creative process. However, with certain kinds of tea, like green tea, you got to take the tea bag out before the tannins sink in too much and then the flavor becomes bitter. So for those of you who are perhaps recovering perfectionists, myself being one of them, we are high achieving people here at UT. There comes a time where you just gotta say it's good enough, okay? So writing is a process. Secondly, organization is your best friend. Sometimes when you want to be creative, you think that, oh, I don't need to be organized because being organized is boring. However, Organization is your best friend because organization is what will allow your ideas to clearly come across to other people. You don't want to frustrate your readers, and you want to come across as someone who has thought about this and is intelligent. But if your writing is unorganized, if you don't use paragraphs, if you don't use topic sentences, if you don't have kind of a clear introduction and a conclusion that reminds the reader of the basic gist of what you've wanted to express, you're not going to come across as creative at all. You're going to create a lot of distractions and confusion for your reader. So be organized. Use all those things that you've learned about in your writing classes up until this point. And if you haven't, then now is the time to learn them. Topic sentences, paragraphs, introduction and conclusion. They can be creative, but they need to be there. Finally, I am of the belief that you are your own best editor. Now, as you're aware in this class, after you submit your first case study, you will receive feedback and you will revise it. So, of course, there's a place for other people to weigh in and give you feedback so that your writing becomes stronger. However, what I encourage you to do, and you may have heard this before, and this is something I've heard even well-published authors do, is before you submit any paper to someone else to edit it for you or give you feedback, please do them the service of printing it off and then reading it aloud to yourself, sentence by sentence. And if the sentence doesn't make sense to you, it's probably not going to make sense to other people. And also, when you do that, you will catch many of the typos, many of the missed words that your thoughts might be clear when you write it, but sometimes when you actually physically write it out or type it out, this happens to me commonly, that I will think I've included a word and then I indeed forgot it. So, in summary, writing is a process. It's kind of like tea. Give it time to steep. Take out the tea bag when it's ready. Organization is your best friend. And don't forget that you are your own best editor. And with those things, you're well set to engage in the process of writing and move on.